Hi friends, the Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization has just concluded in Yaoundé in Cameroon, and let's discuss about that meetings and what were the outcomes and what led to a non-consensus in that meeting. Before that, kindly do watch the above video before watching this because this is a continuation of that video. The 14th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization in Yaoundé, Cameroon, concluded on March 30th, 2026 without consensus on several major issues. It denotes a deeper structural issue within World Trade Organization. Let's discuss two of those issues in which the member countries could not agree on a consensus. The first issue is the major one. It's called E-Commerce Moratorium Extension. The World Trade Organization E-Commerce Moratorium prohibits member countries from imposing customs duties on electronic transmissions such as digital downloads, software, music, films, e-books, and streaming services. It was originally adopted in 1998, that is 28 years before, as a temporary 2-year measure. It has been periodically extended at ministerial conferences to support frictionless global digital trade. It is supported by developed nations, whereas it is opposed by developing nations. Why developed nations support this? Because all the tech giants are situated in such developed nations. When such tech firms are not facing any kind of tariffs, they can do more business in other countries. It means more revenue at the home country of the developed nation. So the developed nation will get a higher tax amount from the increased revenue. Why developing nations are opposing this? Because primarily the world is moving towards more and more digitization, and revenues on physical goods may erode, and governments will need alternative financial avenues. Additionally, such tariff-free environment promotes big tech companies to flourish, harming the dreams of smaller domestic firms. There is a major problem though. The World Trade Organization has not defined what is electronic transmission. Does it mean the intangible bits or bytes carrying the data across borders like the internet? It is called medium. Or does it mean the actual digital product such as a Netflix movie? It's called content. The current scenario, talks at Yaoundé failed to extend the moratorium, letting the 28-year moratorium lapse for the first time. Talks now continue in Geneva. Why Geneva? Geneva is a place of WTO's ongoing bodies like General Council and Trade Negotiations Committee, unlike the Ministerial Conference, which happens once every 2 years. Since the World Trade Organization follows a consensus-driven decision-making process, opposition from any one country can block the agreement. In case of e-commerce moratorium extension, the block came from Brazil. What is a Brazil-US issue? Brazil is a top exporter of soy, sugar, and beef, but it is facing issues when exporting to developed countries like US and EU because such developed nations provide domestic subsidies to farmers, subsidies to export the goods, and such countries have protectionism that blocks competitive entry for countries like Brazil. Brazil told it needs a progress on this agricultural issue if it has to approve the moratorium. Before we go into the second issue, we have to understand what is the difference between plurilateral, multilateral, and unilateral. They all are different types of trade agreements. Multilateral agreement means those agreement requires consensus of all the WTO members, like 164 member countries. Plurilateral agreement means voluntary agreement among some WTO members is required. It is binding only on those signed members and non-signatories are unaffected. Unilateral means one country acts alone, like the US imposing tariff without negotiation, no mutual obligation. WTO as an agency stands to promote multilateralism, and any other agreement is seen to be going against the ethos of WTO. The second issue, therefore, is the investment facilitation for development agreement. It is a plurilateral WTO initiative to streamline foreign direct investment rules, focusing on transparency and efficiency. It only focuses on the administrative process for investors. It does not force countries to open sectors or guarantee investment safeguards. At Yaoundé, our dear India blocked the Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement because it believes that the agreement favors big investors. This agreement was also deferred to Geneva amid the Indian-led resistance. If adopted plurilateral, non-signatories like India will be unaffected. WTO ministerial conferences usually end with consensus, but such incidents as seen in MC14 denotes the weakening role of WTO in the global trade governance. Its core role as a rule-making body is under. Additionally, before we wind up this video, let's understand one more thing. WTO has an appellate body that hears appeals on trade-related rulings. These rulings are mandatory, that is, it is binding on the countries. They have to follow these rulings. So they can appeal. The losing party can appeal to an appellate body. This appellate body requires minimum of 3 out of 7 judges to hear the appeals. Since 2017, US, without the difference of being a Republican or a Democrat, has vetoed the appointment of judges, citing judicial overreach among other reasons. As of today, the appellate body cannot hear any more appeals due to the quorum lost since 2019, which means WTO as an agency is weakened. In summary, WTO is slowly becoming more and more irrelevant in a contemporary world. It should ask itself the purpose of conducting ministerial conferences if member countries cannot agree on consensus. Thank you.